Bob, it's a good thing you won all those awards in the past because you're now associated with known miscreants on this show. and I am curious, we joke because, you know, Brent Musburger and others have made allusions to spreads, but as a broadcaster of your considerable ability, would the spread have been something that, if nothing else, was sort of a data point that you paid attention to?
You know, I didn't pay attention to it, Scott, the way Al Michaels does and slyly works in his references, or Brent. And really, perhaps I should have, given my background, because my dad was an inveterate gambler. So when I was 10, 11 years old, I could give you the line on upcoming football games. I could tell you what the line would be on basketball and baseball games. So I would have been aware of it if someone called it to my attention, but it wasn't something that I was into at that time. But as a kid, I was completely aware.
And that, sir, is a professional segue back to the year 1965?
Correct. This is a reverse bad beat. My dad was an inveterate gambler. He didn't go to casinos or the racetrack. He bet on ball games. He made a decent living, but we lived in a house he bought on the GI Bill for $19,000. I thought he was a romantic character. I once went with him to a donut shop in Brooklyn in 1966, and the bookie slid a paper bag across the counter. My dad went out and under a streetlight with me standing next to him, he counted out $14,000 in $100 bills in 1966 and then said, come on, let's go to Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are playing tonight.
Wow.
So I found this much more exciting and interesting than the guy who mowed the lawn every Saturday who lived down the street. My mom, on the other hand, knowing that sometimes the mortgage was riding on whether Whitey Ford could get Al Kaline out or Wilt Chamberlain could make 2 free throws, she was less enamored of it. Okay, so I'm 13 years old. And it's a Sunday afternoon in 1965 when almost every team played a doubleheader. My dad looks in the paper, and he's already bet on the Yankee and Met games, which we can follow.
Naturally.
He looks in the paper, and Kansas City, a terrible team, finishing last in a 10-team league, the KCAs, are in Detroit to play a doubleheader against the Tigers. Game 1 looks like 19-year-old rookie Catfish Hunter against Mickey Lolich. Game 2 is John Wyatt against Joe Sparma. My dad picks up the phone, and I hear him say, give me the Tigers for a dime if Lolich. I understand the terminology. It's only the game that Lolich starts. He's got $1,000 riding on it, but the Tigers are 9-5 favorites. If he loses $1,800 plus the vig. He loses close to $2,000 if the Tigers somehow lose to the A's. He wins $1,000 if the Tigers win. But this is 1965. Not only is there no internet, there's no ESPN, there's no sports phone, there's no cable TV. We are at the mercy of Red Barber and Joe Garagiola and Phil Rizzuto, who are calling the Yankee game on WPIX. In the old Yankee Stadium, the auxiliary scoreboard was vertical. There's a fly ball to right field, and as luck would have it, the Kansas City-Detroit score is at the bottom. And as Roger Maris is under the fly ball, I can see KC 8, Det 0-2.
Oh, no.
I say, Dad, the A's are beating the Tigers 8-0 in the second inning. My father could be incredibly profane, colorfully so. He dropped more F-bombs in the next 10 minutes than you heard in the entire Last Dance 10 episodes. And they were very creative. All right, so he's going off on Mickey Lolich. Effing Mickey Lolich, effing pot-bellied Mickey Lolich, effing overrated SOB, every combination you can think of. And I'm trying not to laugh because I know how angry he is. But his only hope now is if Lolich didn't start the game.
Sure.
But we can't find that out until Phil Rizzuto at some point says, oh, holy cow, Mickey Lolich didn't have it today. Oh. At which point my dad erupts yet again. Lolich did not retire a single batter. He did not get out of the first inning. It was 6-0 after 1, and it was 8-0 after 1.5. But the Tigers got 2 in the second. They got 4 in the third. They got 2 more in the fourth. At which point, as these reports are coming in dribs and drabs, I'm getting more and more excited. My dad says, don't move. So I can't go to the kitchen. I can't go to the bathroom.
Of course not.
I can't move.
No.
Might break the spell. They get 4 more in the fifth.
Here we go.
And they lead 12-8. At which point, there's no more scoring in the game. The Tigers win the game 12-8. When the final score is announced on the Yankee game, I jump up in exultation. And I look at my father. My father was a volatile and emotional man. I'm looking at him, and he's calm as could be. He reaches into a drawer under the coffee table. He pulls out a cigar. He unwraps it. I'm watching him, rapt attention. He unwraps the cigar, lights it, and blows luxuriant smoke rings toward the ceiling. And then he turns to me, and with the look and tone of a man imparting the wisdom of the ages to his son, he says, "Let me tell you something, Robert. This Mickey Lolich is some effing left-hander."
Bob, do you understand?
There's your reverse bad beat.
People always ask me, why is it a bad beat? Isn't it a good win? Well, we have I just heard magnificently told the story of not a bad beat, but a great win. And I'll tell you this on the way out, and you're the baseball historian. Lolich had 496 starts. There were 2 in which he did not record an out, and that was one of them. And your dad won $1,000 on that game.
Yep. And according to my dad, it was the best start of his career.
Hey, it won him $1,000. It was his best start in your dad's career for Lolich. I hope, Bob, as beautifully told as that story is, we can hear you spinning some yarns this summer on MLB Network. If nothing else, it would be better than diddly and squat and doing this show with me and Steve. You're gracious to do it. We appreciate it. Beautifully told to me once and now beautifully shared with the nation. We appreciate you, Bob.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.